Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go, man. Hunt the ball. Let's go, family on 3. 1, 2, 3, family.
Hello, football family. Welcome into Huddle It Up Films. Continuing some position reviews, some player reviews. Got some big defensive linemen to talk about today. KTSE Sports Talk. You see the hashtag. Justin's got it. Justin, thank you so much for joining me. And I noticed you stay busy over there with your channel, with your YouTube channel. Justin's link will be below. I noticed you've been doing some interviews, though, lately. You had some pretty cool people on.
Yeah. Thank you, Jason, man. I appreciate this, man. I was looking forward to this. My last recent interview was with Bowie State past defensive coordinator Ron White Jr. Also had Hugh Jackson on, Grambling State head coach. That was pretty fun. And I had a couple former Raven players on. Corey Harris, that was on the 2000 Super Bowl team, the safety number 45. I got to chop it up with him. That was fun. Y'all can check all that out on YouTube. And for the audio version, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Anchor, and iHeartRadio.
There you go. Justin's got it all over there. But yes, Hugh Jackson, of course, big fan of his. And then Corey Harris. I mean, if you've been with the Ravens for a while, you remember how tough of a player he was. So, yeah, great interviews. Check him out over at Justin's channel. So, Justin, defensive lineman, you're here to join me about the vets. I figure I'll break them up into two groups, one on the vets and one on the younger guys. So, you got the vets here, and we're going to be talking about Calais Campbell, Michael Pierce, and Brent Urban, and touch on Derek Wolfe. But maybe we'll just start with Derek Wolfe. He obviously had a second hip surgery recently and came to a retirement, well, not a retirement, but an injury settlement with the Ravens. He may retire. He may not play again. I don't think a lot of Ravens fans were counting on him this year, considering he was coming off the injury and it was so hush-hush. But with the second hip injury, one surgery on each hip, it's a tough situation for Derek Wolfe. I don't think, him and the team parting was any surprise. So what are your thoughts on did you have your hopes up that Wolfe would play? And does that loss mean anything to you?
Not really. I had my hopes a little bit, Jason, because all right, he had a whole year now to recover from his surgery. And now he just get a whole nother back surgery. So it was like, yeah, I was like kind of torn between that. Because Derek Wolfe is a real good run defender. Like I say, 6'5", 290, real good 5 technique, could push the pocket well, Super Bowl champion with Denver. And he brought that experience and then leadership in the interior defensive line. So he did pretty good his first year here. Didn't record a whole bunch of sacks. They only had like 1 or 2. But he was very pivotal in stopping the run in the playoff game against the Titans. So and then when he went down, you see the run defense kind of faltered a little bit. But when you got 2 surgeries like that back to back, it's just hard, especially at his age. I believe he's like 33 years old. So I already knew it was going to be slim pickings for him to come back and play this year. Like I said, they reached it. Excuse me. I had a funny feeling Steve Bisciotti and Eric DeCosta was going to work out some type of settlement with him so they can go ahead and he can part ways, still get a chunk of his money. And they don't got to eat a lot of the dead cap. They just resigned him to, I think, a 3-year deal for like $24 million. So, yeah. And then when we signed Brent Urban, the writing was on the wall right then and there. So I'm thinking they're going to wait for June 1st, post-June 1st, to go ahead and make a move with it so they don't have to eat that dead money. And then wish Derek Wolfe the best, moving forward, man. Like I said, it's tough to get 2 back-to-back surgeries when you're in your 30s. That take a lot to recover from.
Yeah, when he said, I just want to live a normal life, that was like, okay, well, he's done. And then you're right, the signing of Brent Urban kind of pushed that in the forefront of my mind, too, because I didn't have my hopes up for Derek to be able to play this year, considering how secretive everything was. And it was just like, you knew he was hurt bad. And, for Wolfe, you're right. He played really well in this system. And it's something that's a common theme, I think, is when players come from other teams, not only have we been signing veterans, but switching them into a true 3-4 where they're asked to 2-gap a lot, it's hard to get sacks in our system. So you saw a guy like Derek Wolfe who had 7 sacks. He was real disruptive in 2020. And, you see it from the highlights and everything else that I'll show in this video. He can make plays in this league and two gap with the best of them. So it would have been nice to have him back from my perspective. But like you said, once we signed Brent Urban, I kind of figured that was happening behind the scenes, and eventually they'd have a deal with Wolfe. So another veteran, the veteran in the room, Justin, Calais Campbell, heading into year 15. I mean, modern marvel. What a football player. He signed to a 2-year deal, but it's really more of a 1-year deal with an option. It's kind of year to year at this stage in Calais's career. But he's really been anchoring this Baltimore Ravens line, a tremendously durable player throughout his career. He's missed a few games here and there with the Ravens, but nothing serious. And he's really the anchor of this line at this point.
Yeah, Big CC. It's nothing I don't know about Calais Campbell because I'm a huge Miami Hurricanes fan.
Okay.
So I've been following Calais Campbell ever since he was in high school. So him, big 6'6", 6'8", 6'9", 300 pounds. He's another guy that can get after the quarterback. Like in Jacksonville, he had 14 and a half sacks in 2017. Then turned around had 9.5 sacks. Then got to us, he only had like 5 or 6. Like you said, our system is not going to really allow 5 techniques in a 3-4 to get a whole bunch of sacks, like how you see with Aaron Donald and J.J. Watt when he was healthy, and Chris Jones. So those guys, they're going to get double-digit sacks. But the guys for us, they're also going to stop the run, deflect some passes because majority of them are 6'5" and up, and probably get a few sacks at 4 or 5. But with Mike McDonald here now, I think Calais Campbell might be able to move around the line a little bit more to have some favorable matchups the way he can get more pressure and get more sacks on the quarterback. But having him back is very pivotal for the young guys, which we'll get into, in the second group. But you need that experience on the defensive line, man, and having him back, man, was very, very pivotal.
Yes, the leadership and just he has a knack for playing. It's not just physical skills. Sometimes, Justin, I get frustrated when people are like, oh, well, he's a mammoth of a human being. And it's kind of like, to me, he's more than that. He is a mammoth human being, but his technical skills, the way he plays the game is just picture perfect. And again, two gapping defensive end. The Ravens have had a type, Justin. I know you're a little bit of a historian over there, but, going all the way back in the days and Brent Urban coming back, Calais Campbell, Trevor Price, you have all these taller, disruptive, the old 5 techs, the defensive end in our system, and Calais back. But the beautiful thing about Calais is they do move him around. You'll see him over nose tackle on 3rd and long. You'll see over the center. You'll see him, at 3 tackle on the other side, stopping the run. Like Calais brings that versatility. And yes, maybe his, he's not going to get anywhere near 14 sacks. I dare you to, Calais, this year. But, he is disruptive. He will get in your backfield a couple of times a game. And if he's not making a play, setting somebody else up to make a play, pound his chest. I mean, he still flashes, Justin, on the screen every week.
Yeah, like you just said, Jason, he's definitely still making plays. Like his impact won't show on the stat sheet because a lot of times he's facing double team. But he is very disruptive. Like, he deflect passes on screen plays. Like, he pushed the pocket where the quarterback's gotta roll out or go another way, and that makes a play for someone else. So he does a lot of the dirty work. That's not necessarily going to show up in the statistics. So then he's coaching the young guys up as he's playing. He's like a player coach right now. So like I said, Calais Campbell doing like I said, future Hall of Famer. If everything goes his way, man, I think he's going to have a pretty solid season. I can see about 6.5 sacks out of him this year.
That would be great. If something like that happened, that would be absolutely great. And for me, it would also mean that the guys around him are performing. Because like you said, you want to stop Calais Campbell when you're looking at the defensive line. Matabike, maybe he raises his game and allows Calais some more freedom. Or maybe, Justin, I've been thinking about this. Maybe we go more to an even front this year. And folks at home, you're used to a 3-4 or 4-3, where those days are it's kind of a dinosaur term, Justin, because you don't really have 7 guys in the box anymore. Everybody's playing 5 DBs and matching up. So, but in any case, I look at the strength of the defensive ends, the guys who could play defensive end on this team with their length and their strength. And then I look at the outside linebacker room trying to get healthy. I could see more of them like what McDonald did at Michigan, where he just had Ojabo, had Hutchinson, had a couple of good guys, let those 4 guys get after the passer and drop everybody else into coverage. So would you be, it's like, it's a nuanced thing, Justin. You know what I mean? It's like some we do play both 4-3 and 3-4, as you know, but I have a feeling we could see more even fronts this year.
I agree, Jason. I could see more traditional 4-man fronts. You may go with a 5-man front because a lot of times we're going to be in a nickel dime package because this it's a passing league now. So teams are throwing the ball 50, 60 times a game. So you're going to see us in a nickel set, four defensive linemen, 2 linebackers, about 5 DBs on the field. So we're going to already be in like a pass type of format defense. So my thing is, if we just rotate the guys in and out and keep them fresh, the penetration will be there all game long. Like I said, come fourth quarter, when everybody's tired, we got fresh guys in the game ready to roll. So yeah, like you just said, those is true 3-4-4-3. It's not going to be like that because we how the game is played now.
That's right. Just a different game. A lot of receivers on the field. And of course, the Ravens have this great strength at safety. So you can put bigger DBs on the field, still hold up against the run. I've talked about that too much, so I'm not going to go into it again. But yes, I think we have a good mix of young guys and old guys. I mean, I had 3 guys here talking to you tonight. And then with Alec, we're going to talk about guys like Matabike and Travis Jones. So it's like Ed Broderick. So it's a good mix, I think, of young players with experience where we could rotate, like you were saying, keep everybody fresh, keep everybody effective. And Calais, he played a lot of snaps. I forgot to actually write this down. I always make my little notes. But basically, the games he was playing, Justin, he was playing high 60s, 70%, 75% of the plays. And to me, that was a frustrating point for me to see like Matabike hover around 40% of a game. And then here's Calais at 35, 36 years old or whatever, playing 75% of the time. So, when we talk about Campbell again, just the rest period, you know what I mean, is something that I would like to see them sprinkle him in more and keep everybody fresh. So let's talk about Michael Pierce, the nose tackle. Now, he sticks out in this group because he is the nose tackle amongst the vets. You're not going to see him move around the line too much. He's going to be between those guards most of the time. He sat out 2020, of course. He had the option with COVID and decided to sit out after signing with Minnesota. Then he had 3 sacks in 8 games last year. I don't know if you noticed, Justin, but 2 of them were against Burrow and 1 was against Pittsburgh. Not sure if Ben played in that game, but I thought that was funny. 3 sacks all against guys, teams in our division. And we signed him for 3 years, $16 million. So it's not a back-breaking contract, but at the same time, we made a commitment to Michael Pierce. And the last thing, I guess, I have to throw it out there, he was at OTAs, I believe, but wasn't at mandatory minicamp. And Coach John Harbaugh said that was a family issue. It wasn't an injury issue. So hopefully everything in the Pierce, prayers out to the Pierce family. Hopefully he's good. But let's talk about him as a player. Like I said, kind of made a commitment to him, not a large commitment, but we could really use Michael Pierce to play well because of how well this defense played against the run with Brandon Williams out there. And Justin, remember some of those numbers along the years. When Brandon's there, our run defense does this. When Brandon's not in the game, Nick Chubb runs for 200. So Michael Pierce has quite a responsibility for him as the primary run stuffer on this team.
Yeah, you're right, Jason. Michael Pierce has to, first of all, come in shape. Remember a couple years ago, he came like 375, 380, and they had to slim like 30. He had to get on like a keto diet or something like that and slim down. So
yeah, they sent him home from practice. I remember that.
Yeah, he has to stay in shape because, like I said, you going to probably have to end up playing on 3 downs. So he's going to have his motor ready. And like I said, he's been here before, so he knows the Raven way. He's familiar with Mike McDonald. You know, he was a linebackers coach and all that. So he knows him. You know, is familiar with his tendencies and stuff like that. So that's a good thing. And then, like I said, no Brandon Williams. He's gone. I don't, whatever he's going to do. So now he has to step up and be that guy right there, to be that rock in the middle. You know what I mean? To hold up them double teams. Take one of guard and center at a point of attack. Don't let teams run the football on us. Because one thing we pride ourselves here in Baltimore is stopping the run. Like, we do not get ran on. That's one thing. Like Ray Lewis says it all the time. And he said, if you throw the ball on us, all right, cool, whatever. But I'll be damned if you go sit here and run the ball for 200-300 yards. He said that's basically just challenging our manhood. So that's one thing we always take pride here in stopping the run. And he's going to have to be a big part of that. So he has to come in shape. His mental has to be together. So hopefully everything's okay with his family and all that. So that's the main thing. He also has to be a mentor. He's going to have to groom up guys like Travis Jones, Justin Matabuke, Roger Washington, Isaiah Mack. I don't know if he's going to be here for the foreseeable future. Crawford. So he got to also be a mentor as well because he's a veteran. He's been in the league for about 7-8 years now. So
yes, I do think that Travis Jones can hold down some of his role, but ideally, you'd want Travis Jones the option of moving him around the line or putting him and Pierce in the middle together. And so a healthy Michael Pierce, in shape Michael Pierce, is going to help this team. You said on obvious rundowns, he'll be in there. And, although we do have help with Travis Jones and, Aaron Crawford's another guy, I think you said he's a guy I thought played really, really well when we got to see him in the limited time that he's been here. But yeah, Michael Pierce, I think is important. I think that, like I said, our performance without Brandon Williams and with Brandon Williams over the year has showed the importance of just a true nose tackle. And I'm confident, Justin, like if Michael Pierce is in shape and he's ready to go and everything's smoothed out at home and he's, playing week 1 in the best shape that he can be, that he is a big help to this team and an important piece. Because like you said, you don't want to have to overemphasize and overcommit to the run. And then that leaves you vulnerable in the pass game. Like these things work together. If if they're challenging our manhood, like you were talking about, and we're shutting them down, then that allows us to be able to get more creative and not have to invest resources into stopping the run. It makes our pass rushers faster. It just has this cumulative effect. So I'm not sleeping on the importance of a player like Michael Pierce, but I have to admit, Justin, I'm a little nervous just because, like you said, him getting sent home for practice and battling his weight at times, it seems, throughout his career. I mean, like, we need him in shape, man.
Oh, absolutely. But like I said, if everything is good off the field, he'll be good for us on the field. Because like I said, he definitely disruptive. Like I said, in past years when he's with us, man, he always played well, man. Him and Brandon Williams were a good tandem. That's why I hate to see him leave, and go to Minnesota. I was like, man, we gotta find a way to keep him. But it's a business, and I'm glad he's back, man. Because like I said, he's very versatile. He can play 3 technique, 2, and 5, and he can play straight up over the center. So he's a very versatile lineman that you can use in multiple ways. But Mike McDonald's gonna have a lot of fun with him blowing up the center. So that's one of that guys like Malik Harris and Patrick Queen. Have Malik Harris in run free, so
yeah, eating up those double teams. Yeah, I mean, they still struggle with him. The tape I watched last year, when he was out there, one person really couldn't hold up against him. Michael Pierce was going to move him. He was going to move him slowly, but he was going to move him. You needed 2 guys to clear out that area. So, I'm glad we're on the same page with that. I don't expect them to play too much 3 tech, 5 tech. Like I said, I think he's here for one thing and one thing only, and that's to clog up that middle and allow us to move more versatile players like Calais and Broderick. And how about the guy that we're talking about next? Now, I don't think he is as versatile as Calais when I've seen him in there, and that's Brent Urban. But he is that classic 5 tech, the tall guy we touched on earlier. And he is 31 years old. He left here after 2018, and he's been with 3 teams since. He played for Dallas, only 6 games last year. So health is important with Urban as well. I think it's really, Justin, for everyone we're talking about tonight, all these vets, health is just like a recurring theme. But Brent Urban, he is a disruptive force in the mode of Calais Campbell, where he can 2-gap, but also he's too much for some of these tackles when he's healthy and right. He's just so long, so strong. He fits the Ravens prototype for that spot.
Yeah, Brent Urban, like I said, he's another guy that's coming back here, man. Those 2 guys, him and Paris, that you talking about, they were together on the defensive line in 2018.
They always come back, don't they, Justin? Like,
yeah.
I should have said that with Michael Pierce. Like, it was the most predictable move that as soon as we, couldn't pay Brandon anymore in his time, what do you do? Well, we'll bring back the guy that got too expensive for us, back to the family. It's like they always come back. But yeah, sorry, it just flashed in my head when you said that, man. Please continue on Urban, man.
Yes, yeah, that's okay, Jason. Yeah, so it's like Brent Urban, like he's a homegrown guy. We drafted him. It's like because he's undrafted, but he was homegrown from us. He knows the Raven way, man. He knows how to play like a Raven. Like I say, 6'7", 300 pounds. If nothing else, he's going to deflect passes.
Right.
He's going to block field goals. He's going to deflect the pass, and he's going to push the pocket. Because a couple years ago against the Dolphins, he had a heck of a game. I think he had a sack or two. He had a couple tackles for loss. He had a sack for Tannehill. He just was disruptive. So like I said, now you gotta you can't double everybody. So if you double team him, Calais and Michael Paris, the outside edge rushers should have a field day getting to the quarterback. So
he's the one guy besides Calais that I could see with pass rushing upside from these vets. I do kind of worry about our pass rush overall. I think that the rest of our defense is just so strong that our pass rush doesn't have to be, anything crazy good, just like good enough pass rush to get it to complement the pass defense. So, Brent Urban, I do believe, has that pass rush potential because I don't think you're getting much from Pierce. You get it from Campbell. And then, when the next show talk about Matabike, he's really the key to all this. And Broderick, I think he's a run stuffer. So Brent Urban, it would be nice if he could shoot some gaps this year, and just be disruptive. Somebody that, like you said, it's hard to throw backside to your ex receiver when you got a guy 6'7", and in the reach that Urban has. I believe he blocked a couple field goals for us too, didn't he? At least one.
Yes, he did.
Yes, very Calais-like in the prototype. So yes, but it's he's been banged up his whole career. Justin, what's your anxiety level on a scale of 1 to 10 of like how much we can get out of Brent Urban?
Brent Urban, he has missed some games in his past career. I think he only played the full 16 games. I think once or twice, but if we can get about 10, 11 games out of him, I'll be happy. Because like I say, he's not going to be the starter. He's going to basically be a rotational guy. So, so if we can get him for, like I said, 10, 11 games, and he comes in, get a few sacks, become pass pressures, and stops the run when we need him to, hey, it's good with me. Because like I said, the more the merrier. Like we got about 7, 8 guys that we can just bring in at a time, and there's going to be a significant drop off.
That's right. And Urban is on a vet min deal. So, he can be cut and the Ravens only lose like a couple $100,000 for bringing him in and just having the option of having him in the camp. But he could be one of those guys, Justin, I think that doesn't make the initial 53-man roster just so the Ravens can play those roster games and be like, all right, well, we want so-and-so, but we want to put him on IR. So Brent Urban, we're going to cut you today and sign you tomorrow. Like you see around, happens every year for the Ravens. They have these kind of wink agreements to bring the player back. So with Brent Urban on the, if he gets cut down day, I'm not going to freak out and think that the Ravens have given up on him. Something for fans to think about is that final roster they submit with the 53 looks different from the one that you open up the season with, Justin.
Yeah, you're right. Because like I said, right now, mine is Derek Wolfe. We have, I believe, 7 or 8 interior defensive linemen. I think we may keep 6. So, like I said, he could possibly build a bubble. You got a guy like Marcel Dias, who hasn't played I think a year. He's on a bubble. Aaron Crawford, Isaiah Mack. So you got it's about 2, 3 guys that could possibly not make it. Because I think we're going to keep 6 altogether. Because we got other positions that got 4 tight ends. And we got to figure out how many receivers we're going to carry, corner, stuff like that. So the interior D line has always been a group we always kept at least 6 to 7 guys. Because like I said, we want to rotate them in and out and have be fresh for the fourth quarter. But like I said, Brent Urban, I hope he makes the team though. But if not, he's definitely going to be picked up immediately as soon as he's released. If he doesn't make the 53 loss.
Yes, I think like you said, we have an enormous amount of DBs. Even if you just want to say who's our 25 on defense, enormous amount of DBs. I mean, guys like our Darius Washington, he might be a guy we don't want to let go, even though we don't really have room for him. So those wink and a nod agreements, you know what I mean? It might be the case where we want to keep an extra DB or something like that. And, fans will get confused. It happens every year. They'll be like, well, Brent Urban didn't make the 53-man roster. And then in the next day or two, he'll be back with the team and they'll, put somebody on injured reserve. Somebody gets hurt during training camp or something like that they want later in the season. So, yeah, the roster games are always confusing. That's something I could get a little bit better on, but I understand enough to know that I feel like with all the pieces that we have that we always emphasize depth on defensive line, and you have to, considering the ages of the guys we're talking about tonight, Calais, Pierce, and Brent Urban.
Yeah, all those guys are plus 30. So like I said, in 2-3 years, this defensive line is gonna look a whole lot different. You're gonna have guys like Matabuke, Travis Jones, and Roger Washington probably be the starting interior defensive lineman, for as of right now. So that's why I said we definitely gotta cash in our chips right now and try to win a Super Bowl within the next 2 years, because the roster is going to look a lot different. Because like I said, guys are aging, and we're starting going more to a youth movement on both sides of the ball.
So, Justin, we did pretty well getting through the players. So, it close it out here. I just want to get your opinion on the Ravens' defensive line as a whole. You don't be afraid to talk about Matabike or Travis Jones or Broderick in this as well, but just the mix of guys that we have in there, and maybe talk to your confidence level. What are your concerns? What do you think we're going to do well? Just anywhere you want to take it on summing up this defensive line in 2022 for the Baltimore Ravens.
Overall, it's a good group, like you said, Jason. We got a balance. We got some veterans and we got young guys. It's not like it's all veterans and only one or two young guys. All young guys, no veterans. It's a balance of both. So we got the best of both worlds. So I think we're gonna have a pretty good unit. Like I said on a couple of my other shows, I think we're gonna be top. I think we're gonna be a top unit in sacks. I think we could be a team that gets 50 plus sacks this year. I think the offensive line can give us at least 30 sacks, then the outside linebackers can at least contribute at least 20, 25. That's just how I strongly feel, because I feel like they're going to win their one-on-one matchups across the board.
That's a bold statement, man. I want to dig in on that. So you said maybe 30 sacks from the defensive line. All right, let's just take 25 just to make it easy. Like, who's getting the sacks on the defensive line? Give me 25 sacks worth of players here. What could you see happening?
I can see Calais with 6.5. So let's just say 7 sacks. I can see Justin Matabuke with about 4. I can see Michael Pierce with about 2 or 3. I can see Travis Jones with about 4 or 5 sacks. And I can see Roger Washington with about 2 or 3 sacks.
Okay, there you go. So, I mean, it sounds like a lot. Like when you say 25, 30, you break it down like that. I don't think any of those numbers are unattainable. We're just going to need consistency. You know what I mean? Just consistency and health, and the coaches putting them in the good positions to do that. And you know what else would help, Justin? Some leads. You know what I mean? Some leads. Go back. It's hard to get a pass rush when you're losing. So, a lot harder to get a pass rush when you're behind in the games. When you're ahead and they get desperate, man, that's when them turnovers and them sacks start piling up. Man, it feels good. You get that in a groove as a football team, man. So Justin, man, thank you very much for coming on. I really appreciate it. KTSE Sports Talk. Again, Justin's notes will be below. His links, will be below. And Justin, anything else coming up on the program or on your show? If you could just take us home with some final comments. What's going on in your world and your work in football right now?
Oh man, this was fun, Jason. Man, definitely, man. I had a blast on this. I got a couple other interviews coming up. I have Oregon's running back coach Carlos Lachlan. He's coming on sometime next week. Working on getting Morgan State's head coach Damon Wilson to come on as well, and also I've been in talks with Jermaine Lewis, former Ravens receiver. So I got some things I'm working on. Y'all just stay tuned. It's gonna be fun.
All right, man. I'll be looking for the Jermaine Lewis because tell Jermaine Lewis, okay, because I'll probably never get a chance to talk to him. When he returned the touchdown in the Super Bowl, it was one of the top moments in my life that didn't have to do with my babies being born or anything like this. So let me tell you, my brother passed away in 2001. So we watched that game together, and the history and the story of how fast we made the come up there. And all of a sudden, it seemed like suddenly we're the best team and nobody can beat us. So when he returned that kick, I have a vivid memory of me and my brother high-fiving, and my brother was pretty big. Knocked me off my feet, hit my head against the table in the establishment we were watching it at. And then he picked me up. We had a great moment. So yeah, man, my late brother though, bro, that was like a lifelong memory. Like I said, top 5 moments in my life. You can remember that. Tell Jermaine, man, like whenever I think of him, I think of that moment. And also, I saw him return a touchdown, I believe, against the Jets, the last game of that season. So I was at that game. So yeah, hey, hook your brother up over here, bro. Like let him know. Jermaine's always got a spot, man.
I got you, Jason, man. Definitely, man. Those are great memories right there, man. That's what life's all about, man. Definitely, man. I'll definitely
Man.
share that with him for sure, though.
I appreciate it, dude. I'll be watching too. But yeah, I mean, like sometimes I wonder, Justin, how much the athletes, or I know some of them maybe not, you know what I mean? But a lot of them, that they're deep thinkers and great people. And they're like, I just hope that they realize how like much impact they can have, where Jermaine Lewis can be part of that memory for me, like lifetime memory, like how much he actually means to strangers. Because, people you go through, well, you're famous and then you're not, but like, yeah, man, Jermaine Lewis, that's, you say that name, my ears perk up, bro. He played his butt off for us. I think he could have been a better receiver than he was used here, by the way, just my personal opinion. I think the system and the not so good quarterback plays didn't help Jermaine Lewis. So yeah, Jermaine. But Justin, thank you so much, man. Hopefully you come back on during the regular season, or if I do something before the season, we get to talk some more ball. But it was really good having you on, and I wish you the best of luck on your channel, man. I see all the videos you put out. Work really, really hard. So thank you, man.
Oh, Jason, definitely. I will definitely come back on if we do something, man. This was tons of fun, man. I'm definitely looking forward to the second session.
All right, man. So with that, I want to say goodbye to our football family. Thank you to my football family. And Justin, with that, just say goodbye to people for me, man.
No, definitely. If you haven't subscribed to Huddle Up Films, man, subscribe, man. He has a great channel, has great perspective, great knowledge of the game, great breakdown, have great guests. Like I watched the other day, had Kerry Stevenson on, and a couple other guys on. Chris just joking. So definitely subscribe to this amazing channel, man. Jason is a wealth of knowledge of football.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you, man. You have a good one. All right.
You too, man.